It pays to pass the time bit by bit while I'm here, between heroics and regular missions and PvE and all these nice little side things in order to keep my mind aloft. But it still goes back to the further question, what it is I'm going to do about competitive in my extended time here on Destiny 2. There's a lot I'm going to be thinking about, but honestly it's not that big of a thought I need to dwell on. Okay, so the competitive scene here has been shifting again with a lot of updates in the season pass, as well as each appealing activity, temporary or rotating in, as a newer preset activity, and its eventual ascension and declination of interest due to likely being spammed a lot in being the new interest on the video game. So it becomes a solid meh point for casual grinding, and then the occasional intense gameplay when the iron strikes hot, including or excluding competitive gameplay, if you will. My competitive interest and availability wavered a lot here between what activities I'm wanting to do that I'm going to stay committed towards, and who I'm likely playing with that I'm wanting to do other activities with, and not just the people that surprisingly just call me when they need an extra player. Because that shit pisses me off, but that's beyond the point. A lot of this disposition is because the competitive scene here feels dead, or is lacking to me, without something higher for me to ascend to, or aim towards. Like a higher purpose. A higher purpose for wanting to stay here and continue grinding this game, knowing full well there's other games I can easily be grinding that hold a vast amount of interest, if not more so, when I left this video game grid. Such as Rainbow Six Siege, or Dragon Ball Xenoverse, or Fighter Z, or Monster Hunter World, or Overwatch. But those competitive scenes do vary back and forth, and they do get boring from time to time, but here, I don't know what the hell this game is anymore for me. Especially with as much financially invested in the gameplay as this. Right now my overall estimations at this point in the gameplay are around $300 to $400. That was just sitting here for a couple months. Yeah, your first question right there. Why would this person need to invest so much money into this video game? Well, I thought it was a good idea at the time, so I just went on ahead and poured my money right on in order to get my nice cosmetics and my little emotes, so when I do whatever it is I'm going to do in Crucible and PvE activities with my friends, I can kind of just dick around and, well, lack of a better term, kind of act like an ass in the right settings. Let's say, leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? As you all remember, guys, a couple of months back, I took a break from wanting anything significant to do with Destiny after I previously stated my feelings about the competitive disposition of the game's current playability from a couple of months ago as opposed to now, and why I just suddenly just appear here and there whenever it is I give a damn to want to do something. I did this for myself and my ambitions. It wasn't like anybody here knows or would probably care to be familiar with a lot of my evolving work here. I took a step back to better assess what I want still here after coming so far, being here. Other players have their reasons to stay, but the point in full of playing Destiny 2, for me, is that there has to be a purpose to it. That's all there is to it. There has to be a purpose after being here this long and having already platinumed the video game. There has to be a reason why I still want to be here. With everything it is that I invested in this gameplay that I really don't want, that's a lot of extra shit that I didn't need, and the normal things that were of this video game that were taken away from me. The reason why I came here in the first place was to achieve greatness unlike any other in being among the most powerful players on the console's history, enduring mass competitive mercy in the likes of Iron Banner, Trials of the Nine, long gone, rest in peace, varying Crucible labs, evolving competitive, and not to mention selective or what feels like selective criticism about wanting to be on this grid still. And yet I still stayed here to accomplish what I sought to do, even if the reason why I came here is not completely the same reason why I stayed here. I originally came back just to help friends complete crap in the game as they needed a reliable player, and then that grew into a bigger ambition once I stayed full time, because I felt I needed to accomplish something specific to my past interests if I was to play this game with any serious devotion once again. I went from aiding friends through nightfalls and story missions, or carrying them basically. I'm not even going to sugarcoat that, whether or not they see it as carrying or not. I got you through all that shit because I didn't give a damn to do it, but I still did it because you asked me to do it. I didn't do it because I cared about the mission. I did it because I cared about you, to make sure that you're happy. But I went from aiding friends through nightfalls and story missions to fighting Crucible enthusiasts and combat gods themselves, watching a whole new norm of competitive growth for the many of the few in the process. In addition, players like myself also played through the slow declination process of what Crucible used to be, and how base Gambit now challenges that ideal with PvE mixed into the flavor. Gambit Prime replacing the competitive element was that originally held by trials at the cost of simply buying the given annual pass. Personally, I feel I accomplished my task to some degree in reaching such a sweaty combative peak and being among the strongest of this generation's history, at the cost of a mass loss of interest in the video game soon after Forsaken's DLC launch. That's why I kept waning back and forth, and around the time when I started waning back and forth, because when Forsaken brought everything to this gameplay, it also took out the actual in-depth competitive aspect that I really loved about the gameplay that got me into wanting to do anything involving Destiny 2 at all. Anger from that and the realization of less variety keeping me here drove me further into PvP and player versus player activities in order to release a lot of tension, stress, depression, and mounting disappointment in the journey here. I'm going off of positive vibes to inspire myself to want to play with a better handle, but it's unfortunate that so much negativity serves and did serve as a huge driving force to attempt to steadily be here originally. I only wish I could take back the investment I made with all these emotes and ornaments and silver and shit. Like, it's a lot I did for myself, but ultimately there being a lot of money tied up in this game was what I did do to myself that I can't accept, because it offered a nice silver lining to an otherwise boring and plain gameplay in the long run. My next objective is to continue positive vibes so I can resume playing D2 while leaving a lot of the past behind me, and so I can try to keep focusing and moving forward with a purpose. I also need to settle on the right activity to do so I can have what I need from the game to achieve greatness once more on a larger scale than what I previously was trying to do here. This was thought out thoroughly during my break, and I will do this effective immediately once I get some time to clear my head and figure out which direction I wish to take this here once I get my feet wet. I'm going after my Triumph Seal. It's an established title that warrants an accomplished mastery of some given area in the video game's given elements. There are literally hundreds of triumphs to accomplish, and it all culminates in the earning of seals, and their in-game marks of accomplishments that are in 7 different major categories. Achieving one of these things is a highly dedicated process from what it is I'm slowly finding out. The one I'm personally seeking is the title of Cursebreaker right now, since it's one of the 2 that I seem to be the closest towards obtaining. And so I'm going to also take a look back and revise exactly which ones is which, and figure out what I need to do, how I'm going to do it, when I need to do it, and a system. So I'm going to be stuck here in the Dreaming City for a good while in order to try and get my boundings and do all of that nice, beautiful, ritualistic, dumb shit in order to fall back into my groove. It asks for completions relating to the Dreaming City area. Again, there was another one that I was close to, and I am close to, but I'll see if I have the tools needed to complement the talent to finish that job when we get to it. If the viewers do recall, I originally asked all you out there, myself, to give me some perspective about which direction to go with, so none of this is frustrating as it is now, or as frustrating as it would feel. You know, having added opinions chime in, so it's not hard going in a deeper direction to accomplish something on this fucking game. But, hey, it is what it is, and so I'm going to sit here, I'm going to deal with it, and we're going to move on. I'm going to figure this shit out on my own, even after I already asked nicely to see if the audience can help me out with this. Nobody said anything or gave me any idea on what you guys could see, so it's another one of those things just like in the first Destiny where I'm just going to figure it out and then you guys are just going to magically then either like it or criticize it after the fact. So let's get this shit show going, I suppose. While it does feel deep down that I want to finish this, to not be left behind from doing something I can easily do, yet felt I didn't need to do at all because I showed the competitive community what I was capable of despite mass obliviousness and insensitivity. There's a sense of given respect that doesn't need to be explained, as the title says and states everything about the accomplishment and the accolade in its own right. Especially in my case, a person gets tired of always stating their case like it's impossible to succeed when my word should be enough to go off of. Either that or Destiny players, people, whoever, just plain don't care, period. If something's not about their own personal interests or it's not about them, they can fuck off for all I care. In achieving this mass triumph, not only does this end the general procrastination of wanting to do it, but to also prove to myself that I can actually achieve something of this magnitude. Everything's thrown at me I've taken and succeeded off of time and again over the years at the cost of time and energy and love, gained or lost. What remains now is just a general determination and the drive in continuing to strive higher on this expanding plateau. Wherever or whatever that is, I don't know anymore. It can take me from the highest peaks of Gambit, maybe even Gambit Prime, past the things of competitive, Trials of Osiris, or the 9 is no longer a thing anymore, so I gotta move on from that and apply all the competitive builds and everything I've learned through that particular high trafficking competitive ring, take that into general comp itself and see where that takes me. Test out all my new ideas and stuff that I've been working on in my own little laboratory of general 6v6 and Iron Banner. Hell, go back out into Iron Banner, field test all that shit. There's a lot of really nice tools to work with. And in a bigger aspect, yeah, I guess I can see it as a pretty nice blessing. And I can also give myself a couple little side projects to work on, starting with clearing up a lot of that shit on Osiris, Curse of Osiris, see if I can get some of those weapons, see what they're looking like, and expand my pools even more. Some of those Ascended challenges in the Dreaming City, everything in between. I aim to find out where it is that a lot of this expanding plateau for this new competitive era and this new generation of Destiny can take me, as opposed to when I first came in during Destiny 2's opener. I aim to find out, so long as I'm to stay here for hopefully the right reasons, so I can get this done for myself. Fingers crossed. Hopefully with a little luck and a little faith, a nice little patch of history can come to me one more time in the Destiny scene.